Marhaba. Thank you for having me, Barak. And I'm going to try to speak a little slowly because I know, unfortunately, I'm not able to speak Turkish. So you'll have to bear with my English. But do let me know if you want me to stop at any time and you want to know what I just said. I have no problem sharing that again. And let me also make a correction. I am not going to speak for 45 or 50 minutes. I actually want you to speak and us to have a conversation. This is really a dialogue. It's not a presentation. So I hope to keep my remarks to no more than 20 minutes. And then I would love, absolutely love, to hear from almost each one of you. So again, thank you for being here. And I know I'm pretty late in the day, so you've heard a lot of speakers. So hopefully this is interesting. Before I start talking about myself or what we are speaking, I just want to get a sense of who is in the audience. So how many of you are entrepreneurs today? Like you've started a company already? If you could please raise your hands. So roughly 5 to 10 people. How many of you are planning to start your own business, a startup? Excellent. And how many of you are not sure? You think I'm going to go work for Microsoft or Turkcell and looking for a corporate role? Nobody. So that means there's some of you are unsure because I didn't see every hand. And Barak was telling me many of you are not from Istanbul, which is great because while Istanbul is great, we want to make sure that entrepreneurship is not just in big cities. It happens every home, every place in Turkey. So this is great. I get a pretty good sense of the audience. Let me share my background a little bit. I know Barak told you about perhaps about my background, but I'll just quickly spend 2 minutes. So I became YMG Media Group CEO in June of 2009. So it's 3 years and 3 months. And I have to say, this has been the most exciting part of my life. And I'll tell you why, and you will, I think, agree with me by the time we finish our conversation. Before this, I was at Yahoo. I was head of platform strategy at Yahoo in Sunnyvale. And before Yahoo, I was in enterprise software. I was at Siebel Systems, which is acquired by Oracle CRM company, and at SAP, big German company, all working in Silicon Valley. And before that, I went to business school at Wharton and worked in consulting at Ernst & Young and Deloitte Consulting. If you wonder, if you're confused that I look perhaps a little bit similar to Turkish people, my background is of Pakistani heritage. So I was born and raised in Pakistan, and I went to the US for college, to University of Texas. So in some ways, working in Turkey for me is almost coming back home. Because we grew up loving Turkey as a country, and I received the same sentiment from my Turkish colleagues and friends here. So with that background, so it's interesting that I have had the experience of both being in the software industry and also the consumer web. So as you know, they're very different. And now working in emerging markets, it's the ultimate consumer web, because the users that you meet here who are using your products, they challenge us more, frankly, than users in the US, in a good way, because these are young, these are very demanding users. So I feel I have learned more in the last 3 years working in this market than any time in my career in Silicon Valley. And I tell all my colleagues that there is a lot more action happening in emerging markets in places like Turkey and Brazil than we can even imagine what's taking place in the US. So what I will tell you is this: you are in the right place. Don't go anywhere. You are in the right place. There is amazing opportunity in this country, and I would say in this region. If you look at it, 60% of Turkey has yet to come online. So we see all these wonderful opportunities just with 40% of the Turkish population that is online. So there is tremendous growth that is ahead of us. Most of my time, so just so you know, I actually have a home in Palo Alto, California. Our office headquarters is in Menlo Park, actually right next to Facebook's headquarters. And I commute to Istanbul. So I'm here 30% of the time, but for most part, I'm in California. So it's a long commute, but thanks to Turkish Airlines, there's now a nonstop from Los Angeles to Istanbul. Any question about my background or before I get started? Anything that you are surprised by? Not yet. All right, so before I tell you our story, the Yonca Media Group story, and I think many of you are familiar with it, but I also think some of you don't know what's happening now. I do want to talk about entrepreneurship in general, because we are not here to sell our products. I really think I'm here to share the story. And I thought about, when I was coming here, when Burak said, you should speak, and I was wondering, what is it that I should talk about in terms of what are the things that make an entrepreneur or make an entrepreneur successful. And I just frankly looked at my own last 3 years, because working in a country where I'm a foreigner, where I don't speak the language, may look a little Turkish, but I don't speak the language, and I have to turn this company around, it makes you feel like an entrepreneur every single day. So the first and foremost thing about, in my opinion, is passion. If you do not have passion for whatever you're doing in life, it is not going to work. So please don't do it because it's a cool thing to do, it's a nice thing to do, it's a sexy thing to do. Do it because you're passionate about it. It can be in any sector. So it does worry me sometimes that the success of a few Turkish internet companies, people think, oh, I should make another Trendyol. No, you should make what you want to make. And by the way, it does not have to be internet. It could be textiles, it could be fashion, it could be agriculture, it could be environment, it could be anything. Online education, which I think is a huge area, and Turkey has an amazing education system. Look at this university, but there is hardly any online education brand. There are so many opportunities. Do what you're passionate about. Otherwise, when things don't work out, you will quit. But if you're passionate, when things don't work out, you'll continue moving forward. So that's the number one thing. For those of you who said, I have a company, ask yourself, are you passionate about it? Are you passionate about solving problems, changing people's lives? That, I genuinely believe, is absolutely, absolutely critical. Number two, execution. And I'll try to explain what I mean by execution. So I think all of us, so let's say you have passion, you really care about something. And I, by the way, advise a lot of startups in Turkey, also in the Valley, in Silicon Valley. Also when I was at Yahoo, we had a lot of entrepreneurs come and we would spend time with them. And we found that, and I have had the experience of working in big companies which are much more operational roles. I think the biggest challenge with entrepreneurs, and some of you may relate to that, is execution. Getting things done. Because you have limited resources, you have a lot of energy, and you have maybe new ideas of how to go to market every day, and one advisor telling you this, your investor telling you that. But having the focus and execution is absolutely critical. Anyone who has done well, they were definitely passionate, but then they executed on it quickly, speed to market, executed on it. And I, by the way, totally disagree that it's about the money. You will see I will not talk about the money here at all. Everybody says, we need venture capital. We need venture capital. Well, Yonca got valuation of $25 million, and you know what happened. That's not the point. The point is about, do you care about this enough as a founder that you will spend time executing, innovating, never saying, this is the good enough website. Always trying to serve your customer, going through new channels, adopting mobile. I mean, whatever it is in your business. My point is you have to keep executing. You cannot say, and by the way, I'll tell you this as a friend of this country. One thing I found is the entrepreneurs often have a short-term focus. How can I make a quick buck? Let me set up a new daily deal site. Let's see how much sales I can make and just sell it. Maybe you're successful, great. But I'll be honest with you, that's the end of it. But if you believe in building something broader, bigger, solving a bigger problem, there is a lot more reward. But that requires execution. That requires having the right team, having the focus on execution, never being satisfied with what you have. I mean, we all love Steve Jobs. Why do you love Steve Jobs? Let me ask you, why do you love Steve Jobs? Anyone want to volunteer? What is so good about Steve Jobs? Passion, absolutely. What else?
Think different.
Think different. Any other? I'm sorry? Self-confidence. But do you think he had self-confidence when he was thrown out of Apple? You see, he was booted out, right, in his career. And then they didn't even allow him to represent at Apple. It's a great story, by the way. You know, we all now know Steve Jobs to be very successful. He was a failure. He was thrown out of Apple. And then he came back, he had to borrow money from whom? Microsoft, to start his business again. Any other comments about his leadership or his style that you've heard about that you like? So I heard passion, think different, confidence.
Had a big dream.
Big dream. Stubborn, if that's a quality, okay. What else? Innovative. All of that. One thing you didn't mention is execution. If you have all of those things, why do we see these products? All of us are on pretty much Apple. Got things done, got things done, got things done. Apple, and this is the story we don't know about Apple. Apple has the world's most sophisticated supply chain processes. Probably like Boeing does. They, by the way, manufacture everything outside the US. And they are secretive about how they do it. They are engineers at their heart. They ship things. I mean, look, Apple has been shipping things every 3 months. We all know, all of us have seen the last 5 years, just incredible amount of products. And everything was a step or 2 steps ahead of the previous product. And not just one product, multiple products. It wasn't just vision or think different, they're all great points, but it was actually getting things done. Even in the US, with all this money, very few companies have that discipline of execution. One of his biggest qualities that I admire is he's hands-on. He knew everything that was happening. And I annoy my team because I'm way hands-on, because I grew up in the Valley. I don't have this, no, I'm the big boss, I've got 20 people working for me, I know what's going on. No, unless you personally test your product, you check every pixel, you cannot be successful, in my opinion. And here is why. Not because you don't trust your team. That's not the point. It's because you will build that culture of quality, culture of excellence. Because as a CEO, especially in a small company, everybody looks up to you. They want to be like you in their mind. They will never tell you in your face. So if you are somebody who's yelling and just giving orders, they will be like that. But if you're somebody who is rolling up sleeves and looking down, working like everybody, they will be like that. So it builds a culture. And that is what we call execution, which is, I think what differentiates people who have a great dream, but people who actually get things done. So, and third is commitment. So you might execute once, but are you committed that when you have an issue, that you will see through it, you will not give up? And in my opinion, that is hardest thing to do as entrepreneurs. Because once you are successful, let's say you get a nice offer to sell out, would you ask yourself, I'm not done yet. I'm not going to give up. I want to do something far bigger and important. I'm committed to solving this thing I'm passionate about. That's the hardest thing, because we often say, no, you know what, I want to retire early. But people who have made world's most successful companies are the ones who are most committed to a cause. They almost think it like a cause. They have a much broader vision. Those are people who change the world. So again, I'm asking all of us to think big. And finally, and this is where you could disagree with me completely, and it could be because I have a social hat on, I think it's about impact. Let me ask you, what do you think of this word when you hear it? I mean, what's in your sense, how do you define impact? Any thoughts? Or anyone who you think has made an impact as an entrepreneur? That's right. They all combine to then, as a result, make an impact. Because if you're passionate, and if you execute, and then you're committed, you don't give up, you're making an impact. Exactly. And that impact could be creating jobs. If you look at Google, by the way, it's a 15-year-old company, has created thousands and thousands of jobs worldwide. How many households have been fed by those people who are earning employment? Trendyol is an example here. I'm not sure if Demet was thinking about creating jobs when she started it, but she's making an impact. Apple, communication, how it has brought work together. Twitter, everybody's hopefully tweeting. So, to me, I think and for me, this was the reason why I took this sort of offer when I was offered this. And it's a segue into us as a company. Sorry, the colors are all bad because of the lights. But let me tell you my story. So I'm going to pause a little bit. I'll go back to impact so you don't read the slide. Any questions so far? Any comments? So it was 3.5 years ago. As you know, Yonca was founded by Karim Buran, fellow Turk out of San Francisco, December of 2003. And it was from his San Francisco apartment. It's a great story. This was when Friendster was a big deal. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Tribe, Mark Pincus before Zynga was doing Tribe. So this is actually pre-Facebook in terms of having an international social network. Karim's network is friends are in Turkey, so Yonca takes off in Turkey. I think you all know the story. In my opinion, it introduced social to Turkey. It prepared Turkey for Facebook. And it had an incredible, incredible rise. So much so that, I don't know if you know this, but in 2007, Yonca became one of the first 2 or 3 companies in the technology sector in Turkey that attracted a foreign VC, Tiger Global. So we are funded by Tiger. And Tiger came in at a very high valuation. This is in the second bubble, before the bubble burst. In 2008 is when Facebook decides to go global. They dropped the .edu, they had the apps. Actually 2005, sorry, but this is now when they were really getting aggressive about international markets. And we know the story. Yonca had a transition. And by the way, this is where I talk about commitment. And I'll talk to you about what I think we could have done differently. So I had never heard of Yonca. I was working at Yahoo. I used to run a nonprofit organization, entrepreneurship organization, like eTohum in Silicon Valley. And we had an event and we had invited hundreds of people to speak, and Karim was one of them talking about Turkey, so I got to know him. And he said to me a few months later that the board is looking for a new CEO. Do you want to come and run this company? I'm like, well, I have no idea about Turkey. I've never been there. I don't know anybody. I have a few friends who work from my business school who are Turks, but I just am very foreign to this country. Just tell me what it is about. So anyways, we started talking, and I said, look, I need to go visit. I need to come here. I need to come to Turkey. I need to see what's going on here, and then I'll make a decision. This is a bit of a sidebar, so please bear with me. I was pretty involved with the President Obama's campaign in 2008. When people and then he also got elected. He'll get reelected now. But and if you recall, he visited Turkey in March of 2009, and he spoke to students at Istanbul University. Because I had connection with the White House, they had asked, they realized that I was working with this Turkish company. They said, well, why don't you webcast President Obama's speech on this website? So I said, great, I'm going to be in Turkey. Let me work with this team, and this will be a good project to see how people work here and what is this about. So I came here in March of 2009. We'd had this webcast of Obama's speech, which was very successful. Ulker sponsored it. It was nice revenue as well. But more importantly, I got to experience this country for a few days. And as you know, in the last 3.5 years, Turkey has moved on quite a bit. But quite frankly, when I set my foot in Istanbul. And again, I had never been here before. I had no biases. I had this great feeling about Turkey, again, as a Pakistani, but I had no other idea. I could feel pulse in this country. I just felt this is the place that is going to explode in a positive sense. I just could feel that energy. Some of it is the Cloud Street energy, but some of it you can feel from a business standpoint. And I told Tiger, okay, I'm ready to take the plunge. I had never been an entrepreneur. I had worked in big companies. I had no desire. I had never thought of working in emerging markets, but I just took the plunge. And here was my reason. I felt like this was a good brand. It was going through some challenges, but there is so much opportunity in front of us. We have yet to even get it started. So I said, look, let's go in there. We're going to grow beyond this brand, and we're going to go into new areas. And I think not only this can be a success in Turkey, but maybe in the region. So with that, I took the role, and 3.5 years forward, I think I've spent probably 1 year in Turkey. Out of that, because I spent 30% here, I go back and forth. So one, I was passionate about the region, so I took that role. And going back to commitment, I knew that I had to spend time here. I have young kids, but I'm like, fine, I'm going to have to be here if I need to do this. So that's why commitment is so critical. So fast forward 3 years, this is who we were, this website, which was going through a major transition at the time. And we have, by the way, relaunched it, repositioned it. More importantly, more significantly, we made a joint venture with Fırsat Bu Fırsat, which is the #1 daily deal aggregator in Turkey. In fact, #1 daily deal site in the country, bigger than in traffic, Grupania and Grupfoni and Share Fırsatı. And I'm very excited to share with you our newest vertical is social recruiting, İşte Social, which is using Facebook to find jobs. And I'll tell you about that. One thing that's common across these verticals is social, because that's a DNA. Those are roots. But I had told Tiger and I had told Kareem, we understand social media, but we will not stop at just one brand. We will leverage that experience, and we will go into new verticals where social is important. And that's what our strategy will be. So with a small team, with not necessarily knowing a lot about this country, but frankly building a brand new team and bringing great people in, we have expanded into new verticals, and company is in a good shape. So I wanted to share this with you, and just really quickly, this is what Yonza looks like now. Those of you who are still online, others if you want to jump in. We have repositioned our model more to social discovery. It complements Facebook. By the way, 15 to 20% of our traffic comes from Facebook. So, and actually next week we are launching Yonza Card. First time a prepaid card is going to be launched in this category in Turkey. You see gaming cards, but not this. So we've innovated rapidly, even on Yonca, even though this is not the thing that we entirely focus on all the time, but it is one of our key properties. Fırsat Bu Fırsat, great story, excellent story. Again, Oz and Rehan have done a great job building the company. Was founded in Silicon Valley, and fast forward 2 years, it is bigger in traffic than any of the daily deal sites. So as you know, it aggregates all the daily deals, and now is also building the Yelp model. And İşte Social, and I'm going to spend a few minutes on this product a little bit. This is something we have built internally, entirely, for the last 1 year. So there are 32 million Turkish users on Facebook, right? Everybody knows that. So Turkey competes with Mexico. Some days they are more, other days we are more. But if you ask yourself, what do people do on Facebook? It's mostly communication, right? Profiles and games. But when you look at the market, it's young people like yourself, people who are looking for a job or who have a job. And I genuinely believe, just like in the Web 1.0, there were these verticals for various things like jobs and real estate and news and finance. Social web will have the exact same thing happen. Right now, it's only about entertainment and communication. So one of the ideas that came to us was, well, given how big Facebook is in Turkey, and given how most users are young, and they are the workforce, we should launch a social recruiting product. How many of you have heard of Branch Out, by the way? So BranchOut is one of the hottest startups in Silicon Valley, which is a similar concept, but it's focused on the US. So what we do is this, very simply. We aggregate job listings from career.net, Yanibarish, Secret CV, and the long tail of HR companies, and then we add a social layer on it. We add social graph on it. So when you look at a job listing, like I'm going to just show you, this is Truxell's page. They have 67 job listings. If you look at this, you will see who are your friends who work at Truxell. And here is why I think this is very important. If you look at the job boards in Turkey, if you go to career.net, with all respect to Yusuf, it looks pretty much what it looked like in 1999. It's a job listing board. It's a job board. The users, however, are now a generation, a new generation has come. These users, people who are graduating from ITU next week or last month, they grew up with a social world. They grew up on mobile. They're the we playing generation. For them, seeing a static job board is useless. They want to say, okay, fine, there's a job at Truxell. I like that marketing specialist. But I want to know who do I know at Truxell? Can I see this on my mobile? Can I quickly share? You don't find that stuff. And it's very, very difficult, in my opinion, for a Web 1.0 job board to just embrace social. It is not in their DNA. Monster has tried it. They're failing. Hot jobs at Yahoo never got that done. And now, interestingly enough, we have nothing to do with the jobs. We were a social network. And here we are talking about, a jobs market. But there is an incredible amount of knowledge that we have developed as a company about social media. Being a social network, also adopting Facebook as an infrastructure. By the way, those of you who have websites and you have Facebook infrastructure, you know how much of a challenge it is to integrate with Facebook infrastructure. It is almost a domain expertise. So we are putting those two things together, and we're looking at the market, and so we've launched a social recruiting product. So essentially, jobs through Facebook. Today, in this, we have 200,000 active users. It was launched a few months ago. But more importantly, 24 million out of 31 or 32 million Facebook users are part of the social network. Because every time, let's say you come in, you become an social member, it's a Facebook app, you bring all your friends. So we are touching 2 out of 3 Facebook users in Turkey in the job space. And let me also share this with you. This kind of product required us building some serious technology. We had to build our own search engine for jobs. We have built crawlers for all these websites. And then matching friends who work at those companies, it is an incredible effort. And then, of course, mobile apps, Android, iPhone, all of those things. What is the most exciting thing about this is this, and I hope you remember this part, and I wish I could tell you the name today, but I cannot. This makes me very proud about what we have done, if you will, in this country. We will be soon, eTohum will be the white label app. We will be licensing our technology to a big European job board who is like career.net, but they don't have the social experience. So they're going to license our technology to launch their Facebook app powered by eTohum. So great story of technology made in Turkey being adopted by a very established European market. People who understand the job space, and we are not supposed to be those people. But again, if you're committed and if you execute and you really put time into it, there is no reason why you cannot build world-class product. So that's going back to, we've evolved quite significantly for being a one brand company now to multiple social verticals. One thing that's common is social, because again, that's a DNA. I mean, we understood that as a company and we focused on that. Let me stop here, and I think this is now, we are going to switch into questions and any comments, any feedback, anything you want to challenge or you want to volunteer as an input, now is the time. Yes. If you don't mind also sharing your name and what you do when you ask the question.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This is Ali. I have a company which is related consultancy company, but we have some the websites regarding to related with the e-commerce, and we have some business plan for creating the new ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited about the social website. It is very interesting because we are also member of the account. We have an account in LinkedIn.
Right.
So it is very interesting website because when we try to find some candidates for our business or for relations between the customer or potential customer, we can use the LinkedIn.
Right.
And I think we have also some relations between the CareerNet or YMG that others. But I think it's going on to different side. I mean, I think CareerNet or the others will have to change.
Will have to change. But that's where, Ali, I feel it's difficult for them to change because the way they are built, right? The infrastructure, also the culture, the DNA, it's different.
My question is, what do you think about this way? I mean, I think you have also some different, the website related to the requirement company. Also, I read some news or articles related to this changing into LinkedIn as well. So what do you think about this way? How it affect the CareerNet or the other?
Well, Ali, first of all, Ali's question is Career.net. What's going to happen to them? Yeah. That's your question. If social is becoming the world, if let's say people who are going to graduate in 5 years from schools, if they don't even want to go to career, they want to go to social, what will happen to Career.net or Monster or Hot Jobs? Well, I think. Look, I do feel they need to adopt social. I just feel it's very difficult for them to do it because they're not built around that. There are some infrastructure reasons. They don't have the community around it. You can't build a community overnight. The community takes a time to build. It's a technology challenge, but it's also a cultural challenge. If you look at most of the focus of these job boards is to sell job listings. Their business model is to just sell job listings, 500 TL per job. We actually, when we build this, we don't even care about that. We are just trying to build a community. It's a very different concept, very different. So we are much more focused on user experience and what are the users doing. We've built this very sophisticated insight analytics to see what job they're checking. Can we go and target them with those jobs, show them similar jobs, show them their friends who work with those companies. It requires a different thinking. I don't think you can do that unless maybe they buy a company who does it and then try to integrate. But then it's a challenge. I will say one thing about LinkedIn. You asked. Maybe you didn't ask me the question, but you might say, well, how are you different from LinkedIn? If I'm on LinkedIn, why do you need social in Turkey? So the answer is very simple. LinkedIn is, and by the way, I'm a LinkedIn user. I love LinkedIn. I have friends who actually, my former colleague, Jeff Wiener, is LinkedIn CEO. Great company. LinkedIn is not a mass brand. LinkedIn is a niche brand. LinkedIn is after what I call the elite job market. It's the Canyon and Levant. We want to be in the mass market, and that's where I'm passionate about. we're trying to solve the big Turkey problem in the heart of Turkey. So we want to serve everybody, not just IT jobs, not just people who can speak English. And secondly, LinkedIn took a long time to translate into Turkish, which limited their ability. Yeah. So did I answer your first question about what will happen?
I think it is also a challenge. I mean, we are not using nowadays the CareerNet or the others because it is easy to find any candidates from the LinkedIn, and also we can find the different. We can find the candidates from different countries as well.
Correct.
So it is easy for us to create a connection with the candidates, the consultants, or other things for our company, and also to create a business as well.
Right. So I totally agree with you. I mean, social is the place to be. We are going to be competing with LinkedIn. I'm all excited about that. But I think because we are here, we are local, we get this market, we've been doing this. Our company has been running websites here since 9 years, for 9 years. we know what works, what doesn't work, and have a good team. So being local will be our advantage. But yes, we still have ways to go. But the fact that we have sold this license, we are about to have a licensing deal with the big job board, tells us that what we have built is absolutely world class. So now we have to make sure that we have this side B2B business, but we also can continue on the B2C in Turkey.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ali. Other. Sure.
Hello, I'm Nuri. I want to talk about işte sosyal. For example, I am a human resource director in a company, and I need a person, any position, and I advertise in işte sosyal. The person is the person. Can the person see my profile and contact me?
Yes.
I wonder this.
Yeah. So what happens is this. I'm sorry. Your name?
Nuri.
Nuri. So Nuri, first of all, you should join Insta Social.
Okay.
So you know how it works. And all of you should try that. So when you join, it's a Facebook app. What we do is we bring your Facebook profile information. If you have your professional information defined, like where you work, what your title is, that's great. But you can also complete it. You can, by the way, also import from LinkedIn. So we do this within a minute. You can just build it there. So when you apply for a position or somebody's searching for you, they can see your entire professional information. They can also see how am I connected with Nuri, right? Who is in between? You can also see, by the way, how am I connected through this person, just like for LinkedIn. So yes, absolutely. But we have built privacy constraints in there so that you're not being bombarded by people. You only share what you want to share. For example, you may not want to show your party pictures on Facebook. But let me tell you, your employers are already looking at you on Facebook, right?
I
So
wonder this.
Yeah.
I wonder that can we make interview the persons işte sosyal with işte sosyal without going to the company for making interview.
You mean as a video chat?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, that's where you use Skype.
Okay. I may.
But you mean
Skype,
as a feature? You mean you're saying
yes.
yeah? Well, we don't have that feature right now.
Think about this.
Sure. But I think, look, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Like if there is a surface that works, they should use that. Our focus is on getting every job in Turkey on Facebook and showing your friends who are there and building a great search engine. That's the focus we have to be. Communication, obviously, there's Skype, there is Facebook.
Okay, you
chat.
can use Skype, but you're a director and you choose five person. You choose 5 person with the CVs, their CVs, and you want to make interview with them. I wonder that can you do with internet, with işte sosyal, with video?
No, we don't have that feature. We don't have the interview capabilities. Not there. You can definitely contact. Yes. You can set up time. This
you can
message,
apply this.
Yes, you can apply.
You can apply.
You can apply. Absolutely, you can apply. Okay. There is just like career.net. You apply. There is a list. They will. If you are the HR director, you will see who the applicants are. You have a different panel. You can manage that, just like career.net or LinkedIn. Sorry, I didn't quite understood your point. We'll come back to you. Go ahead.
What's the issue that you are facing right now? Like the current issue that you are facing with this?
With the
like, what's the problem for now, currently for the işte sosyal?
Well, I mean, there's no problem. It's a phase. It's an early product, and the main focus we have is to build the community, to share with people what we are doing. And I'll be frank with you, because we are the first ones who are using Facebook for recruiting. Some people wonder, do I really want to, be doing this over here? But when we tell them that 60% of employers use Facebook to recruit, they're already doing that. You might as well clean up a little bit on Facebook, right? So, people are looking at your profile. Every time you put something there, it's public. It is public. There is no, unfortunately, once it's there, it's there. Then they understand that. So, the biggest focus is what, if you will, not the problem, but the focus right now for us is to build the community, to get more users to be using it, to get comfortable with it. By the way, I'll tell you something. Mobile is obviously very important, but Android, but since we launched the Android app for It's a Social, our adoption has accelerated on the mobile side. So anyone of you who works on websites, have mobile web, I would definitely recommend that Android is something you should not ignore as a platform. There were questions over there, and Ali will come back to you once I get some questions.
My question is, why did you prefer to develop this website as an application of Facebook instead of developing an independent website connected to Facebook?
So we have an independent website too. So you can go to social.com. Actually, you can check on all the job listings. You don't have to log into Facebook. You can do everything. But in order to see who your friends are at Truxell, that's when you have to log into Facebook. And then it shows you, here are the people you can help you with this job. So yes, totally, there's a website. It's social.com. You don't need to log in. In fact, if you have mobile phones now, you can even go on mobile web. It's mobile site. No need to log in. But when you have to see who your friends are and apply, that's when you have to log in. But actually, we even allow you to click on a job listing and go to Secret CV without having to log in. We actually want you to experience the site. So, question over there.
Career.net has lots of disadvantages and doesn't have a perfect interface, lots of problems, but lots of employee and employers have this habit of using it for years. So how we are planning to change it, and what is your marketing strategy when serving jobs for everyone?
That's a great question. And actually, going back to your point, that is one of my problems. Career.net is a top 100 site. Everybody has relationships. This is how they use it. But if you look at the Turkish market, yes, there is Career.net. But it doesn't serve everybody. There's a long tail. There are probably hundreds of these HR companies. But they have no online strategy. Forget about social. They have no online strategy. What will happen to those companies? Recruiting is probably tens of millions of dollars of business as a market in Turkey. Career.net, yes, has a market share of probably an X%. But there's a long tail. Those people are not technical. They don't have the experience of building what we're building over here. But they have to survive in this world where the new users think social, think mobile, think different, thanks to Steve Jobs. And Career.net is not the answer. So we are trying to serve the future users. In fact, not future, present users. So you're absolutely right. On the recruiting side, the recruiters are comfortable, very comfortable with Career.net. But just like people in the US were comfortable with hot jobs, but when came LinkedIn, hot jobs have to move. Yahoo sold it recently. Same with Monster, which is having significant troubles. Same story will happen in Turkey. I have no doubt about that. The question is not if, the question is when. And the question is who will solve the problem. So you're right, there is people are very comfortable, the HR directors, they don't want to disturb. But if the users are not coming to Career.net and they're not comfortable, they don't want to put a CV, they want to just say, look, I have a profile, why can't you see my profile? I've defined everything there. So, but it will be a strategy. So our go-to-market strategy is, Siddha is here, for example, we're trying to meet with every HR company, small HR company, and say, we will be your social channel. Get on our back and we'll get you on Facebook. Because people are coming to you from Facebook, we will be that connection for you. Before I come to you, I want to make sure, this group is very good, by the way. Lots of questions here, so I thank you for that. But what about this side? Any comments? Would you like to share anything? We have to, yeah, thank you, because I was afraid we were just favoring our front section.
My name is Turgut. I was going to ask about the social commerce, actually. Usually US is ahead of us in every term in technology and everything. So nowadays,
sometimes,
I think they're ahead of the world. So they have been talking about social commerce right now. What do you think social commerce is going to?
So when you say social commerce, Turgut, you mean daily deal sites, you're referring to that, right? Are you talking about that, or are you talking about Facebook being a platform for social commerce?
Not only Facebook, but selling things through Facebook. And
yeah, it's a great question. And Turgut's question is, what about social commerce? And I'll go back to what I was saying earlier, that just like Web 1.0, we had e-commerce, we still have e-commerce companies, recruiting companies. I feel it's a matter of time when social web, not necessarily Facebook, but social web, will also have the same verticals. Well, obviously, we're doing this with this social in Turkey recruiting. What about social commerce? There are applications called Pavement. You should check it out, Payvement, which basically allow you to set up a store on Facebook. So if you, let's say, have textiles, right, you can quickly set up a store on Facebook by downloading that app. So there are companies that are starting to use, if you can build your Amazon store, your eBay store on Facebook. Just like we are seeing with recruiting, the questions that came up, people are not sometimes used to the idea of transacting and buying as a user doing e-commerce on Facebook. But that is going to change very rapidly for two reasons. One, Facebook credits. So as soon as Facebook credits become the currency of buying stuff, or not just Zynga goods, which are virtual, but real goods, real things, people will most likely use them. I actually am quite certain that will happen. It will take time. It will probably start with some kinds of goods, but then it's a matter of time. So I think there is opportunity to build better apps, because Pavement is one example, but you haven't heard of a really good app. Otherwise, you would be using it here. And if you look at the Turkish market, with so many small, medium-sized businesses that sell things as goods, with the large population we have, I do feel it is one of those areas where there is opportunity. But the only issue is people are not comfortable using a credit card on Facebook to buy things. They don't think of it as that. So in the meantime, the best thing is to have a hybrid strategy. If you have an e-commerce store, make sure you have a social channel to it, more than a Facebook page. Just like us, build a Facebook app, which allows you to do some function. Maybe you can browse things, if not buy things. And when you see user behavior, maybe the next step is to allow them to make a transaction, actually make a purchase. Sure. Please.
Hi, it's Rukiye. The previous session was about the time, start quick, just do it, about time. What would you recommend to the entrepreneur candidates if you would have to recommend one thing?
Ruki, when you say just do it, what do you mean by that? Like just
start
launch?
Quick. It's about time. We're planning business plans, business models, etc., etc. But
don't overanalyze. Just go execute. Just go do it. Well, it's a Burak, who said that? Isad said that. Oh, he's a good friend. Isad is a good friend.
Yeah, start fast, fail fast.
So, okay, let me say this. I call it bias for action, speed, bias for action. I do agree with Ihsan on this point that there is sometimes we end up spending too much time in analyzing and over-analyzing and business plans and this advice and that advice. Especially in the technology space, you can launch, let's say, an alpha version and get feedback, because you will know very quickly, what is working, and you can modify that. And by the way, we have the same culture in our company. We don't wait. If you see how much we have done, if we had the analysis culture, we would be still at Yonja. But we said, no, we're going to try it. We're going to try it. And we tried some things that didn't work. There's some services that I didn't mention that are right now we're not sure about. But we had to try. So while I agree in part that you have to try, where I want to make sure that we don't confuse it is that when you try it well. Don't just throw it out there. So that's where the execution is important. For example, your design has to be good. The thing has to be working. There are no bugs. You get some user feedback. You sort of make sure that you are set up to succeed. So it's a fine balance between launching things and testing the market, getting user feedback, data, without necessarily keeping it half-baked. It needs to be fully baked. And that's where your execution is very important. So who in the team is, do you have the good developers, good product person, that is pretty important. Did I answer your question? Sure. Okay. So last question, Burak.
What are the differences that you see the Turkish entrepreneurs and between the entrepreneurs, especially in Silicon Valley? You have an experience of
Burak, it's a great question, and I'm glad you asked the question. By the way, I want to thank, I was going to do this, but I wanted to thank Burak for what he has done, frankly, for entrepreneurs, but I actually think for Turkey. When I first came here 3.5 years ago, I told you I did not know anyone, and I met with Burak, and he did my video interview, and we both look very funny in that video, but it's still online, so I'm embarrassed when I see that video. But he, literally, he has helped build this. And this is called impact. My last point was impact. So I'm very grateful to what you do, and let us know how we can continue to help. What is the difference between the entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley and here? I can go on that topic for a while. I will not spend too much time, but going back to Rukiya's point, one thing is we tend to move a bit fast, but without being irresponsible. You have to be responsible because once the thing is live, it's live. You have to be careful. So just the general culture is a bit of that, is that people tend to move fast. There are two things that are very important that I think, which I don't find Turkey, I think Turkey is still coming up to speed on that. And that is one is talent. It is relatively easier sometimes through your network in the Valley to form a good team. Here, it takes a while to develop that because we still have some challenges when it comes to, let's say, design or product management or certain function. But in my opinion, the biggest difference, and I keep advising my friends here all the time on this, is that I find between entrepreneurs here and in the Valley, which in this case the Valley is doing better, is trust. Let me explain to you what I mean by trust. I tend to find, I'll give you an example. If I have an idea and I'm in Palo Alto, I want to go to an advisor or some investor or a friend or whoever. We go to Starbucks, I'll share everything. I would never worry somebody's going to steal my idea. Because you know what? If they are good at it, maybe they should steal the idea. And it's all about execution, right? It's not just about the idea. I find it, and it is getting better, but I find in Turkey, it is very hard sometimes people to trust other people. Like I was, a month ago, we were at the Global Entrepreneurship Business Plan Competition. We were part of the US State Department delegation. We had these business plan competition. We had 20 finalists, and they came and they presented their plans. And these finalists were most uncomfortable sharing their financials. Like we had to kind of ask questions, and they just they were not sure. Well, if you don't share, we have no idea how to help you. And I don't know where that is. Maybe it's because people have bad experiences, they don't trust. But I'll tell you something. Please trust. I don't think they can steal the idea, but they cannot steal the execution. Because unless we trust, we don't share, we don't get feedback, we can't improve. So I have found that to be a big difference. I never sign any NDAs. And actually every time someone comes to me and wants to discuss and then sends me a form to fill out for NDA, that to me is a sign, I'm not sure if I want to waste my time. I don't have time for that contracts. I have no interest in what you want to do. I just want to help you. So that's a big difference I find. And it's not just Turkey, it's also India, Pakistan, China, same thing. But in the Valley, everybody knows what they're working on, and we're trying to help. But we never necessarily, and I'm not saying it's always like that, but there is not much of a question, how is this person going to help me? We just help, knowing that one day, maybe he can help me, right? So that's the other thing. I think don't ask the question, well, what's in it for me? Why should I help you? I'm not saying we do that, but there is a little bit of that in this ecosystem sometimes. What's in it for me? Should I get shares? Should I get money? Well, just help out, because you know what? Tomorrow, you never know how this person is going to help you. Did I hopefully answer the question?
No,
It was a big question, so I didn't want to just focus on one thing.
Dilawar, thank you very much
Thank you.
for a great presentation and speech.
Thank you again. And
Thank you. Hope to see you in our next meetings.
anytime, anytime. And I should say, if you want to reach out to me, LinkedIn or Twitter, if I can help anyone, it's a social. Any questions, happy to do it. So hopefully we'll get to know each other. Thank you.